The Kansas City Chiefs this offseason have already made a ton of moves that help strengthen this offense and help improve a defense that already was some of the best in the league. There's no doubt that there was some pressure this offseason to make sure going into next season, Mahomes had an offense that he can put up MVP numbers with. But I mean, realistically though, he can do it with any group. He showed that last year, but the Chiefs just needed to add more to this receiving core that led the league in drops last season. They did that throughout the entire offseason and in the draft, and even recently by bringing back three-time champion Mecole Hardman, who caught the game winner in the Super Bowl recently. Bringing back Mecole and seeing him back with number 17, I don't know, it just has a different feeling to it. And he's also been already seen working out and talking with Xavier and getting him ready for his NFL debut. Mecole will be a great mentor to him and getting him up to speed with this offense and offensive scheme, as he's been a part of the team for a while now. Mecole didn't play much after the Chiefs traded back for him after the deadline last season, his best game being the last regular game of the season against the Chargers, but also came up huge when it mattered the most. We've seen Mecole be one of Mahomes' best weapons in this offense, but he is slowed down, but is fully capable of producing high offensive numbers, but it honestly wouldn't be needed for him to do that this season. This offense is already much better than what it was last season with Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown, but for the first half of the season, we assume that Rashee Rice will be missing some time, so they need to be able to perform at a high level and not lead the league in drops this upcoming season. This is what I believe to honestly be the best team we've seen in the Mahomes era, possibly in Chiefs history. They have a very solid defense still, bringing back the core group and developing the younger guys to be able to match the physicality and develop into starters. This Chiefs defense last year carried them in almost every single game in the playoffs, most would say, but that's something Mahomes took advantage of, acknowledging he has a very strong group. But now his offense is among the top in the league again, so it'd be very scary to see what numbers he puts up. He has such a fast, quick, versatile group again. The front office did exactly what they needed to make sure Mahomes had a much better offense, all the way to the offensive line, making it a lot stronger. I've touched on the second round pick Kingsley Sumatai on this channel, but this is such a steal in the second round, as he has so much potential to develop into a really good tackle for this team. He has cousins in the NFL that are really successful as well, being Puka Nacua on the Rams and Panay on the Lions. Adding depth to the offensive line when you have the best quarterback in the league will always be a good idea, and bringing in offensive threats like Hollywood Brown, who has proven to be a deep threat in the NFL, and then you bring in Xavier Worthy in the draft, who ran the fastest 40-yard dash. He has so much potential and will prove people immediately that he is more than just speed. This offense is much better than last season already, like I mentioned, and it isn't just because of the receiver signing. They improved in many different areas this offseason. It's unfortunate what happened with Rashee Rice, as he is a huge asset to this team, but there's nothing we can do but move forward. Recently at a football camp he was working with Hollywood Brown, a reporter asked him about the situation. I feel like Rashee had a really good answer. A statement I want to highlight from his response is when he said, "All I can do is mature and continue to grow," which is 100% true. He acknowledged what he did wrong and he understands he has to do way better. Obviously, no coach or staff wants their young receiver they traded up for in the draft to act like that, but there is nothing Rashee can do except learn from it and move forward. That's it. It's wrong what he did. We all know this. He knows this. He especially knows this. At the end of the day, he's human just like me and you, and he should have the opportunity to prove himself and learn from these mistakes, because with Rashee in this offense, it makes the whole group even deeper. I mean, think about what the receiving core consisted of last season for Kansas City, and now look at the potential they have this year. What a turnaround they have. It's hard for a team that won back-to-back Super Bowls continue to get better, but that just shows you how good of a general manager Brett Veach is, as he is always making the right moves and signings to make this team better. One player who has been emerging this offseason is Nazeeh Johnson, as a lot of fans have been very excited waiting for his return, as he is expected to make huge improvements this season and could potentially be a starter. Justin Reed even mentioned that he was on track to start last season. Throughout OTAs, Patrick Mahomes and every offensive unit down to the fourth string have been consistently throwing deep passes to receivers on go routes, post routes, and other combinations that position the receiver at least 30 yards downfield. On the last day of OTAs on Friday, Nazeeh Johnson covered Noah Gray. While running downfield with Gray on a go route, Johnson faced a deep pass thrown his way. It was said that as the ball was descending, Johnson leaped to high point it, wadding it with his right hand while keeping his left hand on Noah Gray. This impressive play drew cheers from the defensive players on the field. Although he's listed as a safety coming out of the 2022 NFL Draft, the 7th round pick was emerging as a starting quarterback for the Chiefs during the 2023 training camp. He was selected just 3 picks ahead of Brock Purdy, being the 259th overall pick in the draft. Johnson had only played special teams during the 2022 season, recording 8 tackles in the Chiefs Super Bowl winning season. Johnson tore his ACL during training camp. The injury occurred indoors on one of the few days they practiced inside, leading to his placement on injury reserve on July 30th. 30th. Now, roughly 312 days later, Johnson feels he's even better than last preseason and is ready to resume his progress. Approaching his 26th birthday on July 17th, Johnson practiced with a knee brace during early OTAs and didn't take reps in team or 7-on-7 periods. On Thursday, he wore a splint on his first two left fingers due to a hyperextension while making a play on a ball. Johnson mentioned breaking up a pass on a curl route during Wednesday's practice, injuring his fingers upon landing, but noted it was nothing serious. The 5'10" defensive back is a supreme athlete with a 4.35 40-yard dash and a 42-inch vertical at his pro day. McDuffie earned a first-team All-Pro selection last season, while Williams and Watson have had significant playing time at cornerback. Brian Cook was excelling as a starter before a season-ending ankle injury in December. Najee is among those players drafted in the 2022 draft class who have done nothing but continue to show their high-level play and improvement. Replacing lockdown quarterback L'Jarius Sneed is a top priority for the Chiefs as they pursue a third consecutive Super Bowl. They aim to achieve this with a mix of current cornerbacks, potentially including fourth-year player Kelvin Johnson and sixth-round rookie Kamal Hayden. The Chiefs have so much depth on their defense. That's one of the reasons why they are one of the best teams in the entire league. They all consistently are ready to fill in the gap and be the next man up. He's no longer on the roster as he signed elsewhere in free agency, but a prime example I like to use is during the recent playoffs this past season where Joe Thuney had to miss the AFC Championship and the Super Bowl, but thankfully Nick Allegretti stepped in for him and was able to hold his own and help this team win the Super Bowl. The Chiefs have been preparing for this for so long now throughout the draft and by making the right moves to make sure this team can continue to compete. Chiefs fans have been waiting for this time for over 50 years, and I know the front office wants to make sure they can continue competing for Super Bowls for as long as possible. They proved that this offseason by keeping the foot on the gas and making this team even better than what it already was, even when losing a few pieces. Keeping the core like Chris Jones and giving Kelsey a new contract is very relieving as well. Chris Jones isn't going anywhere, which is a lot of Chiefs fans were worried about. The way they were able to get that deal done as well just shows how hard the staff is working to make sure this team has the right pieces around them. If Chris Jones signed elsewhere, that would have been a huge problem for Kansas City, but thankfully we don't have to worry about them as he will retire a Chief. Brett Veach continues to show that he is ready to do what it takes to keep pushing this team to the next level. He has done it time and time again. He's the best GM in the entire league. He's done it in the draft. He's done it in the offseason. He does it all the time. If you haven't already, make sure you go down below and you hit the subscribe and turn on the post notification bell so you never miss a Chiefs video or any video at all. Comment down below what you're looking forward to most for this upcoming NFL season, and I'll see y'all in the next one.